If you want to learn how to manually beat match by ear, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 practice drills to help you learn how to manually beat match by ear. Each practice drill will progress in difficulty as you work through them, starting off with the easiest one first, and then progressing through until the point where you're comfortable manually beat matching 2 random tracks by ear without the help from BeatSync or looking at the BPM counters. If that sounds like something that you'd like to do, then keep watching and I'm going to show you exactly how. Let's get into it. Alright, so right now we just have 2 practice tracks up on each deck. These consist just of drums. Now I've created these tracks to help my students in my online courses learn how to beat match. So if you just have a listen to one on the left, it's just some basic drums, and same with the one on the right. This makes learning how to manually beat match a lot easier because you can just fully focus on beat matching the drums together without any instruments in the bass lines or vocals to distract you. You can use these 2 tracks to practice with before you're ready to move on to using proper tracks. Now if you do want to follow along this video and you do want these 2 practice tracks here, you can download them for free and I'll put the link in the description below this video if you do want to download them and follow along. Alright, so for the first drill, what we're going to do is just match the 2 BPMs of these 2 tracks up manually. So the track on the left hand side we can see here is 128 BPM and the track on the right is 125 BPM. So for the first drill we're just going to move the BPM on the right hand side using our tempo fader to be 128 BPM as well. Now you don't have to be exactly perfect, but just try and get it as close as you can. Then all we need to do for the first drill is press play on one of the tracks. And then just get used to pressing play on the other track in phrase and in time with the other track that's already playing. So we can see here a new phrase is starting where the kick drums go out. Let's have a listen. And then with a cymbal crash, that signals to us that's a new phrase. And you'll see this repeating every 32 beats. So we just want to try and time pressing play on the start of the next phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can hear that they are slightly out. Now they're not going to go further out because they're at the same BPM. So next all we need to do is get used to nudging the jog wheel to make sure them beats are in time with each other and sound good. Like this. That is what you're listening out for. Both beats playing at the same time. So to speed the track up, you need to nudge the jog wheel clockwise. And to slow the track down, you just need to nudge the sides of the jog wheel anti-clockwise. This will temporarily speed the track up and down, but it won't change the track's BPM. That is where you need to move the tempo fader and adjust the whole BPM of the track. Now when doing this, to train your ears, try not to look at your record box screen. So it's very easy just to look at the waveforms and match the lines up, but if you do want to train your ears, make sure you're looking away from the screen and just using your ears. Try and do this multiple times and just train your ears to get used to nudging the beats back in together. So that will look something like this. It also helps you to press play on phrase and in time with the track's structure. Now you can use Q button to get your timing right. Just tap the Q button in time with the beat. Some DJs do this. Press play. Don't look at the screen, just use your ears to get them beats in as close together as possible. Just get used to that sound. And then repeat again. So that's a nice and simple and easy drill to start off with, and you can pick that up quite quickly. Now when you are DJing live, and some people use the term manual beat matching, this is pretty much as far as it goes. You'll always have BPM counters to look at when DJing unless you're DJing on vinyl decks. So all you need to do is move the BPM counters to match each other the same value, press play at the right time, nudge them in, and then they should stay in for your DJ mix. But we're going to make things harder now because we want to train our ears a little bit more. So for the next drill now, what I want you to do is move one of the tempo faders on one of the track's BPMs around 2 BPM slower. So let's move this now down to 126. It doesn't have to be perfect, just around that. So now there's a 2 BPM difference. This is going to take us out of our comfort zone a little bit, but not too much. We know we're going to have to speed this track up on the right hand side by 2 BPM. So I know I need to nudge the jog wheel faster and move the tempo fader faster until they get closer together. So we already have a direction to go in and they're quite close together. So I only need to do slight nudges and slight adjustments. Now the key to this is don't look at your record box screen or your DJ software, whatever DJ software you're using. Try and rely fully on your ears and try and get the track on the right hand side to match the BPM on the left hand side. Now you're going to have to use a combination of using the jog wheel to nudge the beats back in, but also then move the tempo fader in the same direction until both tracks' BPMs are the same or as close as possible. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm going to press play on the track on the left hand side. Now you can do this in phrase if you want to get used to pressing play in phrase, but this is about beat matching, so you can press it at a random time, say here, but I'll do it in phrase. Right, not looking at the screen, I know I need to speed it up because they're going to start going out. And the longer I leave it, the further the beats will go out. Alright, so that's where you need to be quite quick with it. So we'll do it on the next phrase. Alright, I'm going to nudge it forward and also move the tempo fader. If the beats keep going out, you need to move the tempo fader a little bit more. The closer you get, the slower it will take for the beats to go out of time. That means you're getting closer. Now if it gets to the point where the beats stay in time with each other like this, that means we're really close. Maybe a slight nudge forward. Now if they go further out like that, that means you've probably gone past it, so you need to slow it down. If they sound better when you slow them down, you need to slow the tempo fader down as well. So let's slow it down. That corrects it, so I've gone past the BPM. So let's move the tempo fader down slightly. And you need to constantly keep doing this and adjusting until the beats don't go out of time. Now they're sounding pretty close, so I'm going to pause it. Alright, we're pretty much perfect and bang on though. We're 0.01 decimal point away. So we've done a good job there. And all through that, I didn't look at the record box screen, I just did it purely just by using my ears. Now this will train your ears to get used to the beats going out of time and you nudging them back in and listening to which way you need to move the tempo fader. So practice this drill a few times until you get used to moving it that 2 BPM difference. Also try it a little bit faster. So from here now, the track on the left hand side is 128 BPM. I'm now just going to move the tempo fader to 130. And then this time we need to slow the track down. So we're moving the jog wheel anti-clockwise and moving the tempo fader down in speed. Another tip as well is use these lines here on the tempo faders as reference points. So stand over your tempo fader and make sure you keep an eye on when it's getting closer to the beats coming together. So I'm going to do that one more time for you with now going a little bit slower on the right hand side. So I'll wait for the next phrase for good practice. Not looking at the screen, just using my ears. So I know I need to go slower. At the same time, just nudging the jog wheel anti-clockwise and moving the tempo fader down until they get closer together. And it takes longer for them to go out of time. That's sounding pretty close, let's have a look. Yeah, we're 0.16 out there. Now, what you can do now if you're not perfectly in, just let the tracks run and they'll slowly go out of time. And that will give you an indication of which way you need to go. So I'm going to try and slow it down slightly. To get closer together, which they did, I need to slow this down ever so slightly. And then you just keep repeating that until the beats don't go out of time. The closer the beats are together, so in terms of the BPMs, the closer the values are, the less adjustments you have to make, the smaller adjustments you need to make. The further the BPMs are apart from each other, so let's say that this one's all the way up at 132 and that one's at 128, you'll have to do bigger adjustments on the jog wheel to get the beats in time and bigger adjustments on the tempo fader. Which brings us to our next drill, which is the same as the previous one, but this time move it 5 BPM away. So let's get this track here at 132. Now what I'm going to do is slow this one down all the way down to 127, around that. So now there's a 5 BPM difference between these two tracks. Now the reason for this is now we're going to have to move faster, do bigger adjustments, and the beats are going to go out of time with each other a lot quicker. So it's going to test your skills a little bit more. Now also with this drill, you do also know you need to speed this one up faster 5 BPM. So again, we're just taking baby steps at this time and slowly increasing the difficulty as we go through. So have a listen to it this time. You can hear them go out of time a lot faster, so I need bigger adjustments to get them in and bigger adjustments on the tempo fader. This will take a little bit longer. And then you start to make smaller adjustments the closer you get them together. Let's have a look. Yeah, we're a little bit closer. There we go. So just like that then, if you nudge it one way and they go further apart, you're going the wrong way. You then need to change direction. So for example, if I'm not sure which way to go and I nudge it forward and it sounds worse, I need to go back the other way. And just keep adjusting forwards and backwards until the beats go in. When you've done that one way, do it back the other way to get your ears used to going faster and slower. So this time we'll move this track on the left to 126 and keep this one at 132. Then we've got to go back the other way. Start this track on the left and then gradually move this one slower and adjust the jog wheel the opposite way. Practice that a few times, see how it feels. If it's too difficult, go back to smaller increments of gaps of BPM. So smaller gaps between the two tracks BPMs, maybe around 2 BPM like we did previously. Until you feel comfortable at that, and then slowly increase the gap between the two tracks. Which now brings us on to the next drill, is by not looking at the BPMs at all. So what I'm going to do now is move this tempo fader on the left hand side to a random position, like this. So I do not know what BPM it is at all, and move the right one to a random position also. So now I don't know if I need to go faster, slower, how big the gap is, and now just listening to the beats, I have to use trial and error to try and get them beats back in time with each other and work out if I need to go faster or slower. Let's have a quick go at that. So I'm not doing it in phrase for the sake of time for the video. All right, move it faster, see if they go closer together. Yep, so I'll move the tempo fader faster as well. As I get closer and the beats go in, smaller adjustments. So going faster. I'm not looking at the screen, just using my ears. There we go, getting quite close now. Small adjustments. Oh, that's pretty close. Yeah. So now if I leave them, they won't go out of time. They'll constantly stay in. So that's when you know they're close and thereabouts. So try that a few times. Try just messing the BPMs up completely on both tracks and seeing if you can get them in time with each other, and work out if you need to go faster and slower by how much. Again, if you struggle to do this, go back to the previous drills where you're looking at the BPMs, you know which direction you need to go in and by how much. This skill takes time. It's not just do it once and then it's completed and you've learned the skill. Just like doing any other skill, it takes time and practice to get better. It takes a while to train your ears and get used to using the jog wheel to adjust the beats and getting them back in time with each other. And over time, it will become more natural and more automatic, where you'll just know which way to move the jog wheel and the tempo fader and by how much. Alright, and now let's move on to our final drill. Now this is where we're going to get 2 real tracks up, one on the left hand side and one on the right hand side. Now this is going to be more difficult because now these tracks are going to have different elements in there, such as bass lines, instruments and vocals. And also sometimes tracks don't have kick drums at the start. So with this track on the right hand side, if you listen to the start of it, there's no kick drums. The kick drums don't come into this point. And not all tracks have beats at the start like this, which can make it more difficult to beat match. Let's have a listen to the kick drum coming in. And then we have the bass line. And with these added sounds coming together when you're doing your mix, it makes beat matching that little bit more difficult. So if you wanted to at this point now, you can go back to the first drill where you put both tracks at the same BPM, let's say 134, and then work on doing your beat matching this way. So let's say this track is playing to the audience. We've got quite a few elements in there. Let's beat match the tracks using just your ears. All right, they're in. Start again. So they're slightly out. And now they're in again. Let's do it in phrase this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And then just get used to nudging them beats in whilst listening to the other elements of the track. And then work your way up through the drills, move them 2 BPM apart, and then 5 BPM apart, going faster and slower, and then finally put them at random BPMs like this, where you don't know where they are, hit play, and you've got the full track now to try and beat match. So you've also got a time frame to do it in. Now, when I used to DJ live with vinyl decks, I used to DJ in clubs when I first started off with just vinyls. If you didn't have the beats in time, by the time it got to the end of the track, your mix was going to mess up. So there's a lot of pressure. And throughout that mix as well, you had to constantly be jockeying the jog wheel and the tempo fader and keep nudging them tracks in whilst you're mixing as well. And if you didn't know back then how to manually beat match by ear, you couldn't DJ in venues. You really needed to have this skill fine-tuned and dialed in, and it took years to develop. So now give yourself the time frame from the start of the track to the end, try and beat match them without looking at the screens, just using your ears, using the jog wheel and the tempo fader, and see if you get them in time, and then try and complete a full mix. Try and mix from one track to the other with good timing. I'm not going to do that for you right now because it will take too long, but I do have a video that I've done recently where I mix 5 tracks together and I do it blindfolded. I'll put a screenshot of that video up right now so you can check it out after this if you do want to. It was quite the challenge and it might be quite interesting for you to watch if you're interested in manually beat matching by ear. If you get comfortable with that, try linking tracks together, put a few tracks in a playlist, don't look at the screens, and just beat match them and do everything by ear. So let's just do one last quick drill for you. So I'm going to put this BPM on the left at a random place and a random position, and this one on the right as well. Let's move this track on the left to around midway. And now what you generally have to wait for, what makes it easier, is when the kick comes in and the drums come in. I'll start the track. Alright, let's do it. Alright, so I think it needs to go faster. I'm nudging it faster and they're getting closer together, so that indicates to me speed it up. That's sounding pretty good, they're not moving. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Yeah. So they're only 0.4 out. So there you have it. That is 5 practice drills that you can do to learn how to manually beat match by ear. Now personally, I don't use this skill much anymore in my DJing. That's because we have better technology now with BPM counters like this and also using BeatSync. However, I do understand that people still want to learn how to do this skill just in case they need it when they're DJing live. And when I personally DJ live, I do feel a lot more confident knowing that if anything goes wrong, I can always use my ears to manually beat match. So practice these drills, and it is a repetition game. You do have to keep doing it over and over and over again to train your ears to get used to the beats going in and out and back in time with each other. It's not going to be something that happens overnight. It is a skill that's going to take a while to learn. Now that being said, if you do want to know my thoughts on beat matching and using the sync button and how I get my beats in time with each other now when I DJ live, you can check out this video right here that's been suggested to you as I talk through how I actually get my beats in time with each other and talk about the debate between manual beat matching and using the sync button when DJing. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if it was useful to you in the comments below, and I'll see you again in the future. Bye for now.